Here we go. Hello. Hi, Ramona. How are you? There we go. We're all up and running. One of my monitors are bugged, so taking me a little bit just. There we go. Alright, actually, what I meant to do is to try out my new machine. So what I want to do is see how much this levels one of my critters from 0 or from 1. But we need to make sure buddy, a snippet buddy with us. Get a ladder, Jasmine. I've got a more higher definition camera now, so I'm sorry that I have to make you suffer through that. So I was on the phone. What you been up to? What's been up with you, missed, or what you said? Ah, nothing. Don't worry, you didn't miss much. Just me talking to myself. Um, yeah. What missed? Nothing missed. I've been a bit under the weather, but I mean it's understandable. Getting ready for the update later this week, which is good. I've got a new camera, so you see me in a little bit higher quality. But I do have my mic now run underneath my keyboard, so you might hear me type a little bit more than normal. But hopefully it cuts it off when I'm silent. Nice, beautiful. You've been playing a lot of Palia. Well, today was supposed to be Palia Day, but because there's an update coming out, I decided to park that idea, at least for now, just until we get past this week. Then it should be a while before we get another update, so. So I probably will be. I'm gonna try and do a longer stream tonight, and another long stream tomorrow, and then we'll do a 12-hour stream as we normally do. But yeah, well, because what I've got now is I've got two cameras. So I've got there we go. So I've got two cameras. So I've got this one. That's the new higher definition. Then I got like a higher end one there, like professional streamers do. And so when I go on break, I can just do this. So that will be my break cam. I just have to make sure I don't do anything inappropriate. It's just now I have to remember that. Yeah, a little bit of a change, something different. All right, so this is the machine that I've built. It's got all these snippets here. So the idea is that I should be able to level. Whoa, it's very, very janky at the moment. God, I can't even move. What the hell? God, that was weird. Oh god, it's can't even. The minute I stop, it freezes. God, this is annoying. Alright, let's try reloading the zone. It's very annoying. Nah, let's try reloading. Sometimes it fixes it, sometimes it doesn't. Alright, so I'm gonna go. I learned something about Palia. I do not know why it's so important to go through the rummage piles every day in Elderwood until recently. I found out that rummage piles give me relics that I need for my bag of illusion that gets updated 3 times, so you know. That. I don't understand any of that. I don't even know what a rummage pile is. I've never even been to Elderwood. Good that you discovered it, but you're also telling somebody that literally doesn't know what you're talking about. I don't even know what relics are. I really haven't played it. Maybe once I eventually get to that. Alright, so we've got a level 1 pet. Alright, let's see how much we can level it. Hi, Dreamlight Mama. Level 3. Alright, so this managed to level 3. Can't pick up those. Alright. That's weird. Yeah, when you get there, just try to run with piles. There's 2 a day, and on the map is online. They'll tell you where. Yeah, if we get around to playing it, I mean, it's just about having enough time. I barely have enough time for Dreamlight Valley. Oh, I'm just struggling. I just don't want to push. I don't want to take on too much. I don't want to take, because when I play a game, I kind of go a little bit hard out. But yeah, Dreamlight Mama, I'm doing alright. Oh, I'm doing as well as I can. Alright, so that got me to about midway level 3, so we need more. And now that's bugged. Alright, great. So we need more of these machines. So first of all, we need Storybook. Hey, Phoenix. How you doing? What's the green ones? Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Push the run button. Did push the run button, not didn't. Need to make more machines. Need more. Need more. Alright. I need more. Let's skip this. Alright. Yeah, fishing buddy. Yeah, we'll go Maui.
Now he always has time for his pet.
So let's find some bud skippers. The game's really getting janky at the moment. Can't tell whether it's my computer or it's the actual game itself. Try and get a couple of these. We'll just go around and look for them. Balls there as well. Doesn't help. Oh, buggy. Alright, let's try walking back on forwards. Seems like it's just really buggy at the moment. The nature of the game. Wouldn't be Dreamlight Valley if it wasn't buggy. Alright, so that's not going away anytime soon. Alright, how many of these can I make? I can make 9. You think the patch notes are up? I've read the patch notes. They're not really patch notes. It's pretty much just saying stuff we already know, but we can go over it. I'll just put these here. So at the moment, when I use the machine, it levels my pet up about level 3.5. So probably want to at least double what we've got here. So I'm gonna need a little bit more. Yeah, gonna need a little bit more. Probably we'll go for another. We'll go 5 and another 5. Yeah, no, so 20. We want 20 more. And I have to strategically sell the right stuff. But what we do, because the game's acting real buggy, we'll go to the title screen and then we'll log back in, and then we'll bring up the patch notes at the same time. Just bring it up on the other screen. I'm really like short in frame. Just go that. I don't know. The patch notes hit almost nothing. They read like marketing release more than patch notes. Yeah, that's what I interpret it. But we'll read them together just for the sake of just go over them. Where is the news? Hopefully this works. Web browser. Actually, I should put that on the side, like. Knocking over everything. This is going very wrong. I'm just trying to sort out my life at the same time as sort out my camera. Trying to change something to, because I have one of the one of my my monitors in portrait mode, and that makes things easier to read. It was one of those things that I started doing in portrait mode, and then I realized how much more beneficial it is. There we go. Alright, there we go. I got my chat back. I'll just make sure I make this as big as possible. There we go. Alright. Let's switch over. Finally. To that one. There we go. There we go. Alright. So, this is the patch notes apparently. Now, I think a lot of the patch notes are not here because they're hiding a lot from us for the update. I don't think they want to release everything all at once. It says, hey villagers, this week we conclude our final chapter of a paid expansion pass, Disney Dreamlight Valley, The Story of Vale, with part 2, The Unwritten Realm. Return to the Vale to rescue some old pals, befriend a couple of characters from Disney's Sleeping Beauty. Swipe your royal net and invasive snippets, I think they're the black ones, black snippets. And solve new challenging puzzles and discover all the forces behind all the unrest. This update also includes the base game fixes for everyone includes the base game fixes for everybody, which is below, because I've read it further. Story about Val, Part 2, Unwritten Realm, arrives on the 9th of July 2025. It's the 10th of July for me, and I will be doing my 12-hour stream. Just to play around with it. Just to have a good session at it. For the expansion pass owners, check out the details below. Return to the Vale, descend into the Unwritten Realm, avoid of swirling storybook pages, the place where stories go, where they're forgotten and come, or where they are forgotten and come from before they are written. Discover Maleficent and help her avoid being unwritten. I don't know, if an evil person is going to be unwritten, you can't just let it happen, don't you? Venture in the pages of a storybook and uncover Aurora an enchanting dream style. What? Venture into the pages of a storybook to uncover Aurora in an enchanting dream style in addition to a regular look. Oh, okay, so we get a dream style with her as well. Okay. Help Maleficent and Aurora settle into the Vale and complete the friendship quest lines to unlock stunning new items and outfits. Inspired by their malevolent and benevolent ways. Ugh, tongue twister. Equip your latest tool, Raw Tool, and harness the power of Royal Net to catch evasive snippets, living embodiments of the Lore Keeper's scattered pages. Use new and original snippets to complete these new challenging Lore Keeper tales, tapestries that tell the stories of classic Disney and Pixar films. Discover what Maleficent and Hades have hidden up their sleeve. What are they hiding? Pretty sure it's clear that they're hiding Maleficent. Aurora. What else would be hiding? Team up with new allies to put a stop once and all for these villainous scheme and to save the vows. Kind of just repeating the same thing over and over again. Newer special premium shop bundles sold in Moonstone's inspired Aurora and Maleficent will be available to all players. Lawkeeper's not innocent for sure. Well, I mean, they've always made a point to make Lawkeeper an actual character in the game, which I've always found a bit weird. So if we go back to the actual game itself here, and we go to the map, Lawkeeper's a character, actually got a character portrait, which is odd when you think about it. I mean, for one, why would you need to know? Why would you need a portrait of the Lawkeeper right in the middle? And how come... Well, why even have it there to begin with? Because on the map, there's already got a book, right? So if you notice in the actual map itself, there's a little book that's under it. So you don't really need a portrait on top of that. It seems like no one kind of gets lost of where the book is. So I've always found that a bit odd of whether it actually will become its own character. Which, you know, I think it should. Because that would be just a nice little unique, different surprise. For me personally. Alright, switch back over. Yeah, there we go. Top changes and bug fixes available to all players, and there's just a whole bunch of bug fixes. So that's why I think this isn't really patch notes. It's more of like there is more to say, more that's going to be with the patch. It's just they don't want to say it because it'll kind of ruin it. Because we also know of a few things that are not mentioned here, such as... switch over here again. So I'm going to switch my chat over to the other screen again. I broke one of my screens, so I've only got like 2 screens, so I have to drag things over all the time. So if we go here, now there's things that the notes didn't mention. So one thing they didn't mention were these two new companions. So we know we're going to get the Black Pegasus, and we know we're going to get the Teal Baby Dragon. But there was no mention in that. And obviously that will be included in the patch notes once they're all released. And they'll probably won't release the official patch notes until after to avoid spoilers. So we already know that we're getting these two. And if we don't, it seems very, very odd. But, I mean, everyone's assuming. And I think there was a black snippet for those that... No, there's no black snippets actually there. I think I must have saw that on the spoiler chat. But yeah, there's little things like that there's clearly more stuff to say, but they just don't want to say it because it would ruin it, which is understandable. So what we're going to do is I'm going to mess around with this machine for today, and then if I stream later tonight, I'll probably be starting to get ready for the update, so I'll get my handy dandy spreadsheet down. So it's going to be a lot of boringness, but it's going to be interesting to me. But what I'm going to do is continue working on my machine here. So I want to get at least 10 on each side. So I've got 5 there and got 9 there, so I need more storybook magic. And that is becoming a bit of a problem. I have to be a little bit strategic with it and not use too much of my magic. So I might need it. So I've got quite a lot there. Now with all the machines, I probably can get quite a lot of the red snippets. I'm going to focus on that. I had to just look at my math before I start doing this. I've got spreadsheets up all the time when I do this. Can you turn some of your red snippets into... Yeah, you can turn all of them into storybook magic. This one I'm doing now. But I also want to have enough for the update in case I need them. So I'm a bit conscious of that. I think those are the most I've got. I've got a bunch of white and green ones. But red ones is pretty much the ones I've got the most of. So it was back in the day where you could do that white snippet exploit, where you could put all the machines in Dreamlight Valley, and you could get a whole bunch of white snippets. And I kind of just did that, and then converted them all over to a particular color. But then they got rid of that. They changed it, which is why I'm a big believer of, you found an exploit, and it's not technically cheating. It's just an exploit within the game. It's not a multiplayer exploit or anything like that. You should do it. They can't ban you for it. Unless you're like selling it. I guess it's a little bit different. If you're like using the exploit not for yourself, you're doing it and then trying to make a profit from it. Now we'll need a few mud skippers in order to do this. So how much is that? So that's 26. Alright, that should be enough. So I now need a fishing buddy. This is the one thing I kind of wish they would do, is that this is a bit of a quality of life improvement I would love. I would love to be able to go to collection and go to characters, and there'd be a little search bar up here that you can just type fishing. Or even just like, you can toggle it, like fishing buddy, snippets, you know, digging and all that, and it just shows you who has those abilities. Because like going through, you kind of have to highlight every single one in order to figure it out. And I changed them semi-regularly, so I always forget who's what. And I've got ADHD. I forget my own life half the time. So taking my meds is horrible. Like I've got like nearly like 20 alarms to make sure I do my meds. The problem with me when I don't stream in the mornings is I forget to take my meds in the morning. So this is why streaming is very good for my routine, because I know at 7 a.m. every single morning when I stream, I take my meds. And it keeps me on track. But when I don't stream, things go to shit. So my point is, Grandma Valley needs to get this shit together. Where's Goofy? I should actually move Goofy's house back. We're gonna have to get some mudskippers. So we need about 11 mudskippers in order for this plan to work. Oh, we need. All right. Let's be smart about this, Dave. There is a potion. Yeah. Let's do that one. Let's do that. It's a smart way of doing this. The problem is, like, all my original plans have gone out the door ever since I've come up with this experiment. It's coming. So it's about 20% done. So this will have to have 5 snippets around it, and then we know we can use the machine again. Alright. I'm just checking something. Working out my math. It's alright. Alex, alright. Get my damn camera working. This is what happens when you move to, like, 2 screens. I know it seems a little bit entitled, but I really got used to using 3 screens, and now I'm about down to 2. I feel a child. I can't use my damn computer anymore. Oh, this one. Forget they give you a bonus. Well, I got 10 already. Damn. I should do a bunch of these, actually. So I don't need to keep on coming back. Yay! Alright. I might just use the potion up. I haven't really done a lot of fishing grinding, so I don't actually know where everything spawns. Actually, now that we have enough, and it's going to take a while for these mudkippers to actually, not mudkippers, these things to spawn. I also want to make them. I need to make 11. I don't have enough marble. Oh, kidding me. That was an issue that I did not expect. No, Dave, don't be dumb about this. What's a smart option? Alright, you need to leave a stack on the table for the update. Because there's a good chance you're going to need marble. Make sure I don't go too crazy with this. Because this is ADHD in a nutshell. You get stuck on an idea, run with it, and then you end up buggering other things in your life. Now, where's the marble? Okay, already used the marble. That's on. God damn it, Dave. Alright, so I'm gonna have to grind out some marble, which is not what I intended to do here. Because marble is so horrible. So I'm gonna need. So I got 40 marble now. I'm gonna need 70. Damn it. Marble spawn. It spawns on those. I need to say whether it spawns more in a particular area. Which is a bit annoying. Bit like that. Got no marble whatsoever. Didn't realize this is going to be a bit of a flaw in my plan. a faster way to do this. I don't think there is. I think the fastest way to do this is just to do it. A bit of a bugger. It is what it is sometimes. Oh, get back into it. Well, we might as well make the ones I can. Problems I'm gonna immediately forget how many I need. So I need 11. Make 4. I need 7 more. So math. Yeah. Morning math is hard. Yeah, I need 7 more. Yeah, no. Yeah. Didn't do anything? It's not. I don't know where all the nodes are, because I don't really do grinding around here. Yeah, definitely need some prep work for the expansion. Not expansion, the update. We're underprepared. What's the last one? So we got. Alright, so I need 70. deliberately put it on the other side of the wall. Now that's evil. That's evil. Hey, Fox. How you doing? How's life? Good to see you again. Most people pop around just once and then don't come back. Some people do. And then they just harass you. Right, a stack of those. Ups there. What on here? This we can put. Oh no, we'll hold this. Alright. It's going alright, my TV stopped working, so I have to get a new one. Oh, well that sucks. What you do to it? Is it just old, or is it just one of those things? I was like with my computer monitor, but the problem is I can't work out whether it's the computer monitor that's the issue, or is it my graphics card? And I think my computer's overheating at the moment, so I need to figure out the cooling before I replace anything. Otherwise, I'm just going to burn out the next thing. I need a really good tower. I need to find a really good all-in-one tower that's really good with cooling. 42. Alright, so only 50, or like 48 technically to go. A 50-inch, and we've had it for years. It was my mum and dad's, and then they gave it to me, and I had it for like 10 years. What? It must be a very heavy TV. If it's a 50-inch TV, it must be a very heavy one from 10 years ago. But 10 years is a good stretch of time to have a TV. I think I've had one of the TVs I've got. It's like a 42 inch. I think I've had that for a good 15 years. Quite weighty. The fact it's lasted so long is a bit of a miracle. But yeah, 15 years is a long time that I've had it for, and it was, I think I only got it for like a couple of, like $600 or something like that. But it's definitely showing its age though. I believe I don't have a lot of marble. It's really annoying. I hate it how it specifically just goes through the wall. I'm dropping gems everywhere. Don't know where all the nodes are because I'm very bad at remembering. TVs are not cheap at Walmart.
just for 30-inch, it's like $300.
Just be thankful you actually have a Walmart. I mean, we have stuff over here like Kmart and stuff, but $300. I wish a TV was that cheap for us. I would kill for a TV that cheap. Well, $300 American. What's that? USD to NZD. It's 300. That's about $500 based off the current conversion rate. Yeah, I wish for TVs were that. But what? I wish TVs were that much. What's the, let's see. 30-inch TV indeed. I may actually. I haven't looked for a TV for a while. Actually, no. 32-inch TV, $259. What's that? USD to NZD. No, it'll be NZD to USD. So it's $259. Oh, it's only $155 US. Alright, turns out the TVs are now cheaper in New Zealand than they are in America. Didn't know that. Well, there you go. It used to be the other way around, but I guess tariffs and all that fun stuff is kind of caused that to go up a little bit. Nearly double. I'm not used to being able to get cheaper stuff than America. That's a weird world we live in. What's that? Phone buzzed. No, it's just telling me the weather. So we've got 50, so we'll need about 20 more to be getting there. And then we'll try that just before we finish the stream. Try this. The machine. We'll make 5 more before we go on my medication break. Need 2 more after this. There you go. Alright. Alright, so switch my bags over. We'll switch over to multicam. Let's do this one a little bit different, just for once off. Switch my bag over so I can actually move around. So now you get an overhead view. Hello. Alright. So I'm gonna go get a coffee, and I'll be back for the second part of Dave Does Weird Stuff with Dream Night Valley. Alright, be back in a second. There we go. I got my coffee. Go. Alright. Got a lot of headroom. I don't know whether that's a good or bad thing. I don't really know how to have my camera out. Someone really needs to teach me how to do this properly. Alright. So. Needed 2 more. It takes 50 minutes to spawn, so this might not be quite 100%. Get 2 more down. So, what the plan is I'm going to finish this fun little experiment that I'm working on. It probably won't be finished today, but it will make progress. And then tonight, we're going to start preparing for the update. Either tonight or we might do it tomorrow. It's just, I need to be careful because if I'm doing a 12-hour stream with my current health, your snippet farm is amazing. Well, it's actually not snippet farming. This is my machine to try and attempt to level 1 critter from level 1. Yeah, level 1 all the way to level 5 in one go. So we did it this morning of my recent build, and I managed to get it from 1 to 3.5. Level 3.5. So I've added another. I was going to add another 10, so I'm missing another 2. So I just need to do 2 more, and we're going to see at the end of this stream how much we can level 1 critter from 1 to whenever, going down the machine. And the thing is that it kind of feeds itself. So I mean, this may cost me a lot of storybook magic, but I'm getting a lot more green ones, and if I get a snippet buddy with me as well, I get even more green ones, and I can use that for more storybook magic. So it kind of feeds itself. So the idea is that if I set up a machine, I can level 1 critter, because the problem is I've leveled all those now, but I've got 139 companions. It's a lot to level. The idea is if I get this right, I could do it in one fell swoop. Like every 50 minutes, I'll be able to level 1 to 5. So that's what we're gonna check. So I need to get 2 more, and then we're gonna check it at the end of the stream how much progress I've made. But the problem is, and this is a problem I didn't think I'd come across, is I've run out of marble. So I need to grow marble. So in order for me to have more machines, I'm going to need more marble. So I might have to do some off-stream grinding just for marble. Nice. That's how mine set up too. I was able to level mine in a few, like 5 swipes. I mean, technically, I could just, like, I've got this critter, like, the shadow one. And I don't want to do it right now because it takes about a full level 5 snippet machine will take 50 minutes to respawn. So one spawns every 10 minutes. So eventually, I want to get to a point where I want to have the most. I want to make it as efficient as possible. So at the moment, I do have the ones that only spawn 3 of them, and then you upgrade it and it spawns 4, and you upgrade it spawns 5. So I kind of want to get it close and then upgrade them and then subtract it. So I've got exactly the right amount. So I don't want it too long, because if you have it too long, it takes too much time and you can't start to lose the whole point of it. So that's going to be it. And then I can always have this in place. So every time I get a companion, boom, done. So I don't need to muck around with it. And that will be in place forever as well. It's like, no matter when we get a companion, regardless in the game, I will have this machine set up, good to go. And I can even put it away once I leveled everything. I just put them all away and then just bring it out when I know there's going to be a new companion, and then just wait an hour and boom, done. The crazy work. The crazy makes sense. It's just about getting it to work and getting enough machines. And I found out you can't deconstruct a fully upgraded Laura machine, so it's a bit annoying. So you, some reason they could change it, they could fix it, but these fully upgraded versions of these you can't deconstruct. You can deconstruct the small ones, but you can't deconstruct the large ones. So that's why I don't want to upgrade all of them that quickly. I kind of want to get as close to level 5 as I can get, and then I'll upgrade them and then subtract it. And then like kind of upgrade it and then slowly cut back on it until I've got it perfect. Hopefully I won't nerf it. I'm hoping to, because otherwise this will be super awkward. But also, I haven't seen anyone do this before. So I like to think I'm an innovator. I'm ahead of the game. All those content creators starving for content, for Dreamlight Valley content, I've got this going. But the problem is that if they get wind of it, they could steal my idea and do it. Which I don't want them to do. I didn't know that. Where they can't be deconstructed. Yeah, I thought that was weird too, because I was just like, well, if I make too many, I don't need to worry about it. I can just deconstruct them. No, you can't. Turns out you can't. I was a bit annoyed by that. Gonna ruin my plan. But what's the saying? Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. But this is a fun, crazy project. That's why I'm kind of a little bit annoyed the update's coming and I haven't been playing enough. Unfortunately, my health is the annoying thing is when I think my health is going fine, it just starts to fail again. And it's just a constant reminder that I'm not well. And I have to kind of respect that, if that makes sense. Because I keep pushing myself a little bit hard, and then there's a reason why my heart's running off a goddamn machine. It's not because it's doing well. I think I just miss how I used to be. And I just forget all my problems and then start pushing myself too hard, and then I end up just buggering on. I think I'm just over it. Just over it. But I also don't want a new heart as well, because I mean, this is the problem with the internet. The problem with the internet is that you get so many different stories of a similar thing. And so I've heard really amazing things about after people have got a heart transplant. Like their life is, life goes back to normal. They're able to like run up mountains. They're able to do all this kind of other stuff. It's changed their life, and it's like they're a brand new person. And then you got other people that just like, I just watched my father go through 6 years of hell after his heart transplant. And, I've got youth on my side, and a lot of people are saying, like, you're getting it young. I'm only 37. 37? I'm 38 this year. So I'm 37 right now. So it's still processing him, like, what was I saying? But yeah, you get people that talk about like 6 years of hell and all that stuff. And I got youth on my side, and I know statistically it's more likely for me a good outcome to happen rather than a bad one. But they're still ripping out my goddamn heart and putting a new one in that doesn't belong to me. It's still like, no matter how they phrase it, no matter what the statistics are, it's still that fact. They're ripping out my heart and putting in a new one. And it scares the shit out of me. And I go through moments that I'm just like okay with it, and then I go through moments where I'm terrified. You're back. You're talking about to your brother-in-law. Oh, okay. How's he doing? But yeah, I go through moments, and I go through ups and downs of the whole thing. It definitely, I'm having a lot more downs than ups recently in terms of like my mood, and I'm trying to be okay with not being okay. Like just after work, feeling like shit, and I just go to bed. I just lie in bed and just feel horrible for the moment, and then I can bounce back. But I found recently me doing that, it's just made me feel even more guilty. That I'm wasting my time just going to bed. He's doing alright, just dropped off my niece. Oh, that's nice. You dropped off your niece to you? So you're babysitting at the moment. You're babysitting and you're watching Twitch. That's very irresponsible of you. Sorry to hear. No, it's. Don't be sorry. Unless you caused it, never be sorry for what I'm going through. It's just bad luck. No one's fault. Technically, it's my genetics fault, so if anyone has got to feel guilty, it's my mum and dad. And even then, it's not technically their fault. They didn't deliberately do it. It just happens. I think that's the one thing that has bothered me for this whole thing. A lot of people are like, I'm so sorry. It's like, don't be sorry. Like, you didn't do anything. You just saying sorry is just trying to make yourself feel better about the situation rather than me. You don't need to remind me that this situation sucks by saying sorry. I'm fully aware of the situation that I'm going through. And I get people mean it. Like, they mean it in a good way and all that stuff. It's just, when you hear it for like the millionth time, you're just over it. There's only so many times people can say, I'm sorry. If anything, just let me be miserable and have a laugh. Like, I make a lot of jokes at work about it. Rather than, like, the morbid jokes, you know? And I have a bit of fun with it and joke around with it, and that's the best you can do. Like on here, I'm very open about it, and I talk about it quite a lot because I'm not ashamed of it. It's this is how I process it, and so I rather have jokes about it and mope about it on here. And this is my vice, is that my stream is just me complaining about it. And yeah, it's not for everyone. Not everyone wants to hear so much negativity, and the most popular streamers are the ones that are overly positive and optimistic and all that stuff. And you never hear a very negative top streamer. It's because there is a game you have to play with it in terms of how to get viewers, how to retain them. It's all about positive energy, high energy, and all that stuff. I've never been like that. So this is all you're going to get. You're going to get me playing Disney Dreamlight Valley, but also being miserable. Change my name to Dave Miserable Light Valley. And you're going to get a lot more of that after my transplant. So. You've been in my thoughts, Dave. I enjoy your streams, and here I'm doing. Well, I hope so. I mean, at the end of the day, if even one person cares about it, then I'm going to keep on doing it. I just want people to forgive me a little bit if I end up dropping a stream, or if I just can't do a stream one day. Don't fulfill what I promise, because at the time I really want to do it, But then when my energy level plummets so much, I just have to respect it. I guess I use that phrase in a way that sucks without actually saying it. Yeah, sarcasm and humor helps me get through stuff as well. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the hardest bit when people say I'm sorry. That internal monologue that I have is like, don't be sorry, like don't say that, is just, I get that's how they're saying that sucks without saying that sucks, even though I would appreciate them saying that sucks to me a lot more than I'm sorry. Because it's just, at the end of the day, it's bad luck. And hypothetically, in about 20 years, 40 years time, no one will need to go through what I go through. For example, the condition that they found that I had, a bypass valve, which is basically your heart normally has three ports, ventricles. They have three ventricles to push out blood. I was only born with two. So basically it just means my heart had to work harder all my life in order to pump the same amount of blood that everyone else does. So the problem with that is because I was always healthy, no one ever picked up on that, and my heart just ended up having to go harder than normal, and eventually it burned itself out. And no one discovered that until I was 36. Nowadays, it actually turns out newborns are actually tested for it. It's only 1% of the population actually have it. Funny enough, more prevalent in females than males. But now newborns are tested for it. And if they are discovered to have this particular condition, what happens is that it's monitored, and typically every 10 years, they fix the valve. That's it. And then they live a happy life for the rest of their life. There is a possibility later in life they may need a full heart transplant with the new valve just not staying. But yeah, that's the treatment nowadays. So if I was born today, I have a better chance in not being in this situation. So the good thing is I'm hopefully going to be one of the last generations to need to go through this. Hopefully. So that's a positive. That still sucks. That's what I tell people. You don't always have to be sorry to I appreciate people saying it, but you don't have to. Yeah, I mean, I would never bash someone for saying they're sorry. It's just, sometimes I really wish they would just like, dude, that just sucks, man. Let's just be in them. And I can't remember there's this doctor that I watch on YouTube. He's a psychological doctor. He does this financial podcast as well. But every time a caller calls up about some really shitty news, he spends a moment of like just be in the moment with that person. Like, let's just acknowledge that sucks, you know? Like, your dad died, for instance. Like, you've gone through a really hard time. Let's just acknowledge that just sucks, man. Sucks you lost your dad. You know, let's have that moment of just acknowledging how shitty the moment is instead of just trying to push through it. Because once you acknowledge the moment, you're able to kind of park it, and you're able to go, all right, that's that moment. How do I get around this moment? How do I kind of deal with this moment right now? And I like that idea. I didn't realize that's what you had. My grandfather had that. He actually lied on his draft card so he can go into the army here in the States during World War II. Oh, shit. Well, yeah, I would be excluded from the army if they discovered that. But they would have discovered it a lot sooner if I joined the army when I was 20. Because they would have done a full markup for it. Because the problem is that the bypass valve, for a healthy person, you don't find it unless you're looking for it. You only find it if there's a problem. And I stayed rather healthy. I walked to work, and this is how it was actually discovered. I was walking to work. That's about 5 kilometers each way. And then I was progressively getting tireder instead of the opposite, which is you probably would get fitter, right? I've actually got enough now. I was getting tireder, and then eventually reached a point where I got to work, and I looked like death apparently. And so my boss kind of strong-armed me to make sure I go to the doctor, because I was the kind of person that never took sick days. I always came to work. I never took sick days, and that's how they knew how serious it was when I turned up to the work the next day. Because I should tell the story one day, like make an actual video about the entire story. So basically, I was really, really tired. I went to work, and four. Did I make four? Let's make four. I'm sure I got the right one. Yeah. Went to work. I was really, really tired. They got me to go to the doctor. I went to the doctor, and I just told them, like, you know, I've got a bit fluidy chest. I had turns out I had fluid in my lungs, but I didn't know that at the time. I had very fluidy lungs, and I told the doctor about all this. And what he said, he suspects that I actually got COVID, it's just the aftermath of the COVID. And I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, how about just to be safe, because it sounds like you do have fluid in your lungs, go get an X-ray done. Unfortunately, in New Zealand, that's something you actually have to pay for. In New Zealand, we don't have free healthcare; we have subsidized healthcare. So it means it's kind of like you know, not everything's free, but everything from an emergency point of view, like you have no choice, you can't wait, is free. But anything that's elective, like just a random X-ray just to check something, when there's nothing obvious wrong, that you have to pay for. So I had to pay for the X-ray. So I went to get the X-ray done. Got McDonald's on the way. Don't know why I remember that, but I remember getting McDonald's. And we'll just wait for this to spawn. Yeah, I got McDonald's, and then I went back home. Went back to work. I essentially put up the computer again, and just did some work. And then the doctor called me and said they found something on the X-ray, and I needed to go to ED immediately. You know, when a doctor tells you, and a doctor who has been pretty. This is the same doctor who missed the cancer in my brother-in-law's leg, which unfortunately took his life 2 months earlier from this point. You know something's wrong. I remember seeing you in stream before you got sick, and you looked fine. That's the problem. Everyone said I looked fine, and that's the thing. Even the doctors, even after the doctors saw the test results, saw everything, they said I looked fine, and that was probably half the problem. It's because there was something internally very, very wrong, but everything on the outside seemed fine. But I do remember saying you're a little under the weather and got COVID. Yeah, we suspected we actually got COVID. We've got no proof that we got COVID, but everything was kind of pointing towards that. Because my partner tested positive, but I didn't. But we both were going through the same thing. So anyway, so yeah, I went to ED. Oh, well, thanks for that. Well, I don't know if that was a follow. There we go. Thanks, Domino. Anyway, that threw me off. I'm not used to getting people following me. Yeah, I went to ED, and they got me to sit in the waiting room, and the waiting room is packed. It's an emergency department waiting room. There's a lot of people, and once I got there, we signed in and everything, and was like, oh, we got told to come here by a GP, and we kind of gave all the details. Went to sit down. 5 minutes later, they came out and said, hey, we just need to do the X-ray again. Yeah, even though you got an X-ray before, we just need to do our own one just to double check. So I was like, oh god. So I paid $40 just to get another X-ray for free here. So I was a bit tiffed about that. And so I went off and got an X-ray. And what it turns out they were doing, they was confirming the results. Because what they had found in the X-ray was they found a blood clot around my heart, which was because of the fluid in the lungs and everything. I didn't know that at the time, and so they scanned it again, and the hospital X-rays are typically a lot better. And they found the blood clot, and so about 15-20 minutes later, they came out with a wheelchair, and I was like, "Why you guys got a wheelchair?" And they're just like, "Oh, you get in the wheelchair. We'll take you to the ward." And I'm like, "I've been here for only like 20 minutes. Like, It'll be about 25 minutes now. I'm fine. I can stand. I can walk fine. And I was like, I just got up. I was like, I don't need the wheelchair. I'll just walk to where you guys want. It turns out I shouldn't have been walking because people in my, based off that X-ray, shouldn't be able to stand. So it was a weird kind of scenario. So they took me there, and they did an ECG and they did a whole bunch of tests. And what it actually turns out, while they were doing all the tests, all those results were actually being sent to the head of cardiology a couple of floors higher, because of how serious the X-ray looked. And remotely, as the nurse was doing the EKG, he was watching the live results come in, and he immediately saw that I was in critical heart failure. And it turns out my EF, so that my injection fraction, so that's about how good your heart is, was at 11%. For comparison, most healthy people are about 60 to 100%. Mine was at 11%. And so he came down right after surgery, apparently. Right after surgery, because he came out and then went into this viewing area that they have, and then just saw my results there, and immediately just came downstairs and sat with me with another doctor and said, "Hey," and this was about 30 minutes after they admitted us, and we had just spent the last 30 minutes listening to someone next to us get told, and she sounded really young as well. She sounded like around my age, even younger, that she had terminal cancer. So we were just like, at least we're not that bad. Little did we know. Because we were very naive at the time, we just thought it was just flu, you don't really think, it was anything. And then he came down, and he was a German fellow. And he said, there isn't any good way in English to explain this, but you have the English translation for what you have is critical heart failure. And I think I laughed at the time. I was like, oh, I mean, it means it can't be that bad then, because if there's another word for it, and it turns out it was pretty bad. Someone in my condition shouldn't be walking around, and they think it's just because I was healthy, I was fit, but also I was young. And so most people that are in my scenario are like 50, 60, 70. So, yeah, then they admitted me straight away, and I don't think it really grasped almost how serious the condition was. Until kind of we were there for a couple of days. They then did. They had to basically prove whether the condition that I had was a recent thing, or was it something that has been there the entire time. Because at the time they couldn't confirm what it was. So first they put the blood thinners in me. So what they would do. So I'm on a drug called warfarin, and that's a blood thinner. But what they had to do is speed that up a little bit. They had to get my blood thinner because they needed to get rid of the clot around my heart, because if the clot moved in its current state, it would have killed me, basically. It would have clogged some vital organ, not organ, vital, artery or whatever, and would have basically killed me. So what they had to do is shove me with blood thinners, and there was big needles that you had to shove into your stomach every 12 hours, and it sucked. And they would just shove the needles in me to a point where I just started dreading it, and I had bruises all over my stomach. And what they had to do is they wanted to get the clot moved first, and then they wanted to do an MRI. And so on the 23rd of December, the clot moved. Now, what happened is I wasn't feeling so great, and so I was I feel like I needed to go to the toilet. So I went to go to the toilet, and then things started to get worse and worse, and then I ended up being able to get my pants up, and then opening the door, and it just collapsed on the ground. and it turns out the blood clot was moving. Apparently I had turned completely white. One of the orderlies got me off the ground and took me over across the bed. And then I just vomited, just violently. Like, I don't know if you ever watched Scary Movie 2, and where there it was just like like a shooting of vomit, like a kamehameha of vomit coming out of my mouth. And it was just went everywhere. And then that they did the emergency thing, when you get in the hospitals where they're like, stat, all that kind of stuff. And they lay me down, shoved me full of fentanyl. Fentanyl's a hell of a drug. I understand why there's an opium epidemic when it comes to fentanyl. That shit got rid of my pain so quickly. You have no idea. I understand fentanyl now. I even hallucinated on fentanyl. I've never hallucinated in my life, but I didn't hallucinate then. It was after my surgery is when they put me on it. I hallucinated spiders and all that, but I knew the spiders were not real, because I'd be like, there's no spiders right here, right? There's no ants right here. It was ants and spiders. I kept on alternating. And my partner Ayla, she was like, no, there isn't any. I'm like, oh, good. Like, I'm sane, but I'm also insane by seeing what I'm seeing. Anyway, so yeah, the 23rd of December, violently vomiting. They lay me down, shoved me through, and basically they said, "Yep, the clot has moved. Yeah, this is what happens." They're not sure where it moved to, and this is always a dangerous thing for them to do. They just didn't tell me that it was dangerous because they didn't want to worry me. But luckily, the clot was gone, so I was able to have a clear heart again. And then they were able to do the MRI. Sadly, on the 23rd of December, the same time this all happened, my uncle died in hospital in Dunedin at the exact same time for a heart condition, which was sad. And unfortunately, they told me at the time, but I was very delirious, and I didn't get to go to his funeral because I was stuck inside. So that was sad. Uncle Finn, he changed ACC law as well. I'll see if I can find it. Hold on. See if I can find it. There you go. Unfortunately, I'm going to be seeing my last name here, but screw it. So this is my uncle who died on the 23rd of December. Unfortunately, so he battled ACC, which is a government corporation over here in New Zealand. After my auntie Shirley, she got killed in a hit and run, and apparently in New Zealand, you only can get one benefit, one social welfare. You either get the pension, or you get survivor's benefit for a spouse. You can't get both. So when my auntie Shirley died, he was getting the pension at the time, so he couldn't get the spousal compensation that you would get at the same time for an incident like this. So you only can get one or the other. And my Uncle Finn's argument on that was that it was age discrimination, because if he wasn't on a pension, if he wasn't retired, he would be getting this benefit. But because of how old he is, that was age discrimination. And eventually he was able to change the law. So I was very, very proud of him when he did that. Anyway. So yeah, all that happened. The blood clot got rid of, and they shoved me full of warfarin, full of drugs. And at this time, they hadn't told me the full scenario, like what had happened to my heart, because they still didn't know. They hadn't done the MRI yet. So they did the MRI. They proved that it wasn't a recent thing. It had been there for many years, and able to deduce that it was a bicuspid valve. And they suspected that most likely, because of what they've been saying, that COVID is what most likely pushed it over the edge, because some of the side effects to COVID is heart problems, and that's been seeing more and more. I think that's the problem with a lot of people forget about COVID. COVID is a relatively new kind of condition, so we don't actually know how it's going to have any lasting impacts. And so a lot of people got really upset, with the government and all that stuff, everything they did. But let's be fair, like no one really knew what was going to happen. No one really knew the after effects. We had theories, and some people's theories turned out to be true, and some theories turned out to be wrong. But that's why they're called theories. But anyway, but yeah, they suspect COVID as what pushed my heart over the edge, and luckily I was vaccinated, so I didn't get the full brunt of COVID, thank God, because if I did, it probably would have wrecked my heart even further and pushed me close to the edge. And also, if COVID just took over the entire country and hospitals were overwhelmed, I most likely probably would have died because I wouldn't have gone to the hospital or got attention quick enough. So thank God for whatever we did in New Zealand to mitigate that. Anyway, so that they determined that, yeah, I had a bypass valve. It sucked. And they did a whole bunch of other tests, and basically they said the first option is pacemaker. I was like, all right, that sucks, but all right. The next one is to put my heart on a machine, which turns out to be an LVAD. Now, what I didn't know at the time is that if you go on an LVAD, you get a heart transplant as well. So the third option they said is, and I remember distinctly being told this. They said the third option would be getting a heart transplant, and that's scared. When someone says that to you, it scares the shit out of you. And I broke down. That was the first time I broke down, and this was right after Christmas. So I spent Christmas in the hospital. I think it was the 28th of December. So and it was the first Christmas my nieces had without their dad, because their dad died in October. My brother-in-law. So they really wanted me there, and obviously they couldn't, and it kind of. I understand how much it would have sucked for them, because they had just gone through about a year of their dad slowly dying of cancer in hospital all the time, and then the first Christmas without him, their uncle was in the hospital, and apparently I'm their favorite. Apparently, my sister just wrote in the will that I get the kids if anything happens to us. So, and so, yeah, that sucked as well. And I think that's the first time I actually broke down. And I called my mum. My mum's a nurse, or a past nurse, a retired nurse. And that was the first time I broke and cried, because when someone tells you that you're getting a heart transplant, you realize how serious the situation was there. Because, I mean, at the time, I still was thinking, should be some medication, blah, blah, blah. And, you don't think it would go as far as that. And what they told me then, when they explained it, the next day, I think the 29th, they explained that a pacemaker wasn't going to be an option. And you will need a machine and a heart transplant, and they will need to fly you up to Auckland, because they do all these operations in Auckland and Greenland Hospital, to be specific. So on the 31st of December, they got me a Lifeline. Well, they told us it was going to be like a day or two, so we thought we had time to pack our stuff and get ready and fly up. But they told us on the 31st that they were going to fly us up to Auckland, because they were still waiting, because it's around the holiday time, so they didn't have everyone around to make the decision. Everyone has to agree. So they knew they had to fly me up to Auckland, but they couldn't get everyone on board and sign off for it. So they finally got signed off on it on the 31st. And so they told us, hey, in a couple of days, it's most likely going to be after the new year, we'll fly you up to Auckland. And we're like, sweet, all right, we'll get all the shit together and get everything packed up and have some time. Problem is that 2 hours later, they came to us and said, turns out we had a cancellation,
So we're flying you up there in 2 hours. Oh, sorry, 3 hours. It was 3 hours. And we're like, shit. Obviously, I can't leave hospital. So my partner, Ailish, as much as I love her to death, she just bolted with my dad back here to my home, packed everything we could, and she by the time she got here, she only had like half an hour to an hour. She packed everything she could, got back, got everything in bags. I think it's actually it was more like 2 hours because she got here pretty quickly, but only had like half an hour. She packed everything she could, shoved everything in the bag. We didn't have a lot of stuff like that. We don't travel a lot, so we didn't really have a lot of travel stuff ready to go. So we packed everything we could in one suitcase, and then she came back to the hospital. We got into the Lifeline. So those that don't know, in New Zealand there is something called Lifeline, which does basically like flights like this. It's a free service. And so I would say if you ever can, make sure you donate it. A lot of time people see the helicopter side of it. But it's a helicopter, but we were on the plane. So we got on the plane. And so it went from Wellington all the way to Auckland on the 31st. And we remember we got there. It was a bit of a skeleton crew because it was the holiday period. And I remember spending New Year's in an empty hospital in a cafeteria, just staring up the roof because I couldn't go outside. Because they put me on a heart monitor that I couldn't actually travel around. And yeah, I spent New Year's there, and it was very surreal. It was very surreal. At that time, they hadn't 100% said you're getting a heart transplant. It was just more of a machine and all that. Now that I know about everything, the minute they started talking about the machine, I was always going to get a heart transplant. At the time, they didn't actually sit down and have that conversation with. They never actually sat down and said, you're getting a heart transplant, until well after the doctors have seen me so many times. Because I think everyone just assumed I knew what was going on, because most people in my situation, again, it's a progression thing. They understand, this is the step-by-step thing. First we do this, then we do this, and like all the drug therapy and all that stuff. But for me, because of such an acute situation, they hadn't done any drug experimentation, I want to say, but any drug therapy or done any of that, because a lot of the time you do drug therapy first, see how he will react to that, then a few months later or years later they do the next step and next step. But because they never did any of that, they weren't sure how my body was going to react, and they just assumed, as most people do in the ward that I was in, that they would have had that someone, I would already know the situation, which I didn't, because it was such an acute scenario. But yeah, they eventually, we flat out said, like, we don't know what's happening. I think we said this to one of the doctors. Look, we don't know what's happening. We're really annoyed by the scenario because we don't know what's going on. And she was just like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, they keep on saying we're going to get a heart transplant. Am I getting a heart transplant? Oh, I don't know. And then they soon said, oh, I'm so sorry. And then they sat down and explained the bypass valve, because I didn't actually know at the time what all that stuff, and they finally explained everything, because it took a while because in New Zealand it's dumb. There's multiple DHBs. So DHBs are kind of like regions of the healthcare system, and we had like 11 at one time. They're trying to cut it down to 3. But because there's so many different DHBs, every DHB has a different contract when it comes to their applications that you use to file for patients, the drugs that they use, the materials that they use to clean wounds and stuff. Everything is different in the system. So a lot of the time the databases aren't like for like. So when you're transferring a file from one system to another, in this case from the Capital and Coast DHB, which is the Wellington DHB, to the Auckland DHB, they don't run on the same system. So they take a while for everything to transfer over. So the MIR images took a while to get back up, to get to Auckland, and so they didn't want to have the conversation until they did. So once it did, they had the conversation about what was going on, and that's when the reality of the situation hit. And this was like early January, and it sucked. And then you go through all this assessment for it because they can't just put any old joker on the transplant list. They need to make sure you're psychologically going to respect it and you're going to treat it well. So I ended up going through a lot of psychological evaluation, and they had to speed run it as well. So they didn't actually have the normal people because everyone was still on leave. It was like early January, so everyone was on leave. So they got me signed off as quickly as they can with a social worker because they wanted me on the heart transplant list ASAP. And on I think the 14th of January, they put me into surgery, and that's when I got this machine shoved into me. So in New Zealand, if they determine that you need a heart transplant, what they want to do is buy you as much time as possible, because you don't know how long a heart's going to take. So what they did is they got they put this machine in me and trying to buy me as much time as possible. Now, unfortunately, I'm B negative blood type, which is one of the rarest blood types. So it's good. They knew it was going to be a long wait, and they want to buy me as much time as possible. And these machines, they cost around about $500,000 to install and to do the surgery and everything. So anyone in New Zealand that gets one of these, you're getting a heart transplant. It's pretty much, that's all paid for. So I didn't pay a cent for it, which is one of the great things about New Zealand. Is it wasn't, I didn't need to pay for this life-saving machine. But one of the other aspects is, in order for me to be on the heart transplant list, they had to also prove that drug therapy couldn't work. And they've got no evidence of that. Most people in my situation go for the drug therapy, then it reaches this point. But unfortunately, because of how acute my situation is, one of the criteria they couldn't tick off. So what they had to do then is put me onto the drug therapy. Because technically, there is a way to save my heart with drug therapy from a technical point of view. So they put me on the list initially, and then they took me off the list, and then I was on drug therapy until January this year, when they finally determined that my heart was too scarred and there's too much dead tissue to save my heart. And so from January this year, I've been on the heart transplant list officially. I was like tentatively on it, just more of a case of if one came up that was perfect for you, you would get it, because it was more of a case of we know the way this is going, and so we're not going to pass up a really rare heart just because of semantics. So they basically said you were technically on it. It was just more of a case of, from a more of official capacity. And so yeah, basically my heart's too dead. And yeah, that's where we're at the moment. Now, typically, the longest person that's been on one of these LVADs in New Zealand waiting for a heart has been 18 months, and I'm currently at 18 months. So I'm actually breaching a couple of records here, at least in New Zealand. Overseas, it's a lot more common. They use LVADs, these things, for bridge to bridge a treatment. So a lot more get plugged in with these, and so the heart can recover. The only time one of these machines had been explanted, so removed in New Zealand, was after a postpartum situation. She had a really rough childbirth. Her heart roughed her up a little bit, so they put one of these machines in there. Eventually she recovered and they took it out. That's the only time ever in New Zealand they've actually implanted and explanted one of these devices. But overseas they do it all the time because of the opioid epidemic, because a lot of people don't qualify to getting a heart transplant, so the best they can get is one of these things, because you're not going to give a drug addict a new heart. It's just and they're not going to respect it, because your immunity goes down. The drugs will wreck you even more, so they can't give you a heart. So overseas you get a lot more, but in New Zealand, because everything is paid for, everything's government funded, that's the way it is. So I'm very thankful, but it's a bit of a story. I should really make a video of all that and just break that all down, because it was rough. I don't think I'm psychologically processed it yet, but hey, just the way it is, eh? Anyway, alright, so we're going to try the experiment, and then I'm going to go to work. So we're going to try this once. So the idea of this is that we can use one pet. We'll do the which one should we do? The anxiety. We'll do the anxiety squirrel, eh? All right, we're gonna need a snippet buddy before we do this. I know we're running late, but we'll go very quickly. Okay. I hate the circumstances how you get a heart. But to be honest, there's not really. I had a friend had to wait a long wait time. Yeah, it's one of those things is you want to wait a long time. Because if they give you the wrong heart, it's not going to last that long. If they pair me with the right heart, there's a potential it could last me 30 years with the current medication. And there's new medication being introduced all the time. So you get the right heart that has, because it's not just your blood type. It's like everything. It's the blood type, it's the immunity, it's the size, it's all those things. So if you're able to line, and vaccinations as well. So if you get that all lined up perfectly, you can have a heart that lasts for a very long time. And so I could have a heart that lasts probably, could be even longer than some of you out there. But that's why you don't want to rush it. You want to wait as long as you can. So I want to be on this list for as long as I can before they have to move me up. Because they can pair you with other hearts that aren't as great. That aren't as the greatest match in the world. And you don't want that. Because it means that there's more complications, there's more risk for anti-rejection, there's all this other stuff. So you want to wait as long as you can so they can go, alright, this is the perfect heart, this is the... So let's say someone's died, exact same weight as Dave, same age as Dave, same blood type as Dave, perfect. Go for that one. But you don't want to go, same age as Dave, but not the same weight as Dave, or same height. Height is a factor as well. But everything else for good. But the height and the weight is different. They could give me that heart, but the heart will either not be pumping enough blood or be pumping too much blood to my body. And that will cause another problem. And that will cause all my other arteries to be damaged and other organs to be damaged. So you don't want that. So we kind of want to wait to the perfect one. So could have a long wait, could have a short wait, but at the end of the day, we've got to wait. So, and it could be tomorrow. And the thing is that my phone is always on now, and that's why I've got the smartwatch for that. Totally agree. COVID was a big deal for me. In 2022, I had panic attacks. People knew. I knew got it more than twice. I had to be embodied to the hospital after I collapsed after my first vax. My dad had to go with me the second vax. Booster was fine. But like I told you before, my dad was difficult. He hated needles. My brother and sister-in-law got COVID. We didn't see them for months. And told dad they had it when they got better. It was stressful. Yeah. I mean, it makes me think of how bad it would have been if I didn't get vaccinated. And that's why I think that's why it hurts so much every time I see online where people like being really mad at Jacinda Ardern or at the government for the response at their time, when the only thing that goes through my head every time I hear that is, I would have died. And if they're saying their freedom is worth more than my life, it makes me hard to sympathize for their point of view. Because I would not want them to die. I wouldn't want anyone to die based off anything like that. And the argument was, well, some people did die because they were in lockdown, they couldn't go to a doctor's appointments. But from my understanding, people that needed to go to doctor's appointments could still go. But I think it was just more of some people got the wrong message, and then because of the cross wires and all that, some people thought they couldn't go to doctor's appointments, couldn't do stuff, couldn't do things urgent, and then that caused a few issues. Because no one said, like, during lockdown, you could not go for life-saving appointments. It was just those little things. So, I don't think I'm ever going to make anyone happy with this argument, but, I mean, I don't know. Alright, where's the anxiety squirrel? We're going to do this because I need to go to work. No. Alright, the squirrel's not around me for some reason. I need to do this test. Alright, we'll do... There we go. We've got the anxiety scroll down. Alright, so the idea is that in one swoop, this is level 1. Is he going to come with me? Yeah, cool. Alright, so he's level 1 at the moment. Let's see how quickly we can level him. Alright, here we go. He's going to level up. He's going to level up to like 3 in one go. Whoa. It's not as smooth as I would want it. Alright, that's 4. Final one, there we go. Alright, is that all of them? Yep, I think I got all of them. Alright, so where are you? There we go. So that was 4 and a bit. 4 and a bit. So I would say let's add another 10 onto that. No, another 20 onto that. I would say another 20 on that. And I think we might get there. So they went from 1 to 4. 4 and a bit. And I think another... We'll go for another 10. And then I'll try it again. And then another 10. Oh, nah. Nah, we'll go for another 20. Go for another 20. But we did well. We did well. Now I'm quickly going to end it because we do end here. I was on the priority list after I fainted due to my asthma. I couldn't go to the doctors during the second lockdown because they were shut down and had nasty fallouts, bruise. No GPs would see me. A few years later, I wobble with a walking stick and a chronic pain. Oh, sorry to hear that. It's like no one won during COVID, and like I was happy to do a lockdown because I'm an introvert, but it just makes me think if we had a different government in charge, I might not be here. And that's a realistic possibility. Yeah, it might be a little bit dramatic and it might be, you know, there is a chance that, you know, it may have not been that bad, but I had always had this condition for my entire life. And all it took was walking to work to finally push it over the edge. So, anyway. That's enough for depression for now. Thanks for popping along today. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed my story. Thanks, Fox. Thanks, Spy. Thanks, Mama. Thanks, Ramona. And thanks anyone else out there that has listened, will listen, and might listen. I might stream later on today. I'll see how I go. It's all about my health. And I did wake up at 4 a.m. today, so I'm a bit rough. But I'm definitely going to be streaming on Thursday, 12 hours of Davelight Valley of the new update. So if all else fails, you see me there, and you also got a Discord to chill out and hang out with us there. Anyway, gotta run. Until next time, everybody.